The ayes to the right, 335. The noes to the left, 260. So the ayes have it, unlock.
That was the moment the Prime Minister avoided defeat on his flagship welfare reform, but it came at a price, having to abandon the attempt to tighten the criteria for PIP, for now, in a dramatic 11th-hour concession.
We will move straight to the wider review and only make changes to PIP eligibility activities and descriptors following that review.
The climb down on top of last week's climb downs mean all of the government's supposed £5 billion savings will be wiped out. But a day which started with some backbenchers protesting against their own government's plans had only risen in emotion through the afternoon.
It is with a heavy, broken heart that I will be voting against this bill today. As a matter of conscience, I need my constituents to know I cannot support the proposed changes to PIP.
These Dickensian cuts belong to a different era and a different party. They are far from what this Labour Party is for.
This is crazy, man. This is outrageous, man. This bill isn't fit for purpose.
A volley of criticism so sustained the Tory leader's line of attack was almost light relief.
And I feel sorry for the Right Honourable Lady. She looks as if she's being tortured. This is a rushed attempt to plug. We all know why this is happening. This is a rushed attempt to plug the Chancellor's fiscal hole.
Despite the concession on PIP, which hollows out the government's plans, 49 Labour MPs still rebelled. The mood after the vote stunned.
What people have watched today is game playing to save the government's face. This isn't about disabled people. This was about the government having a win. I am utterly ashamed of my party today.
What damage do you think this has done to the party?
It's not. It hasn't been ideal at all. But I think it's absolutely clear that they are in the listening mode, and I think from that point of view, we are a Labour team.
A team that looks riven in two this evening. The Work and Pensions Secretary desperately trying to scrape something positive from a day of utter chaos.
We need to begin to get the benefits bill on a more sustainable footing so it lasts for generations to come. That's what the Labour Party stands for. It's been a bumpy time tonight, but we've passed second reading and we're going to go forward together.
But postponing PIP reforms leaves a gaping hole in the Chancellor's budget and inescapable questions about why the Prime Minister failed to see any of this coming. Romilly Weeks, News at 10.
Well, the harshest parts of the welfare reforms may have been shelved, but many of those who receive the Personal Independence Payment, or PIP, are still concerned about what lies ahead. Originally, as part of proposals made in March, the government planned to tighten the eligibility rules for all those claiming PIP. But faced with a rebellion last week, they announced that current claimants would continue to receive the payment, and there would be a review into how the changes would affect those yet to begin claiming. Well, today, the government announced those changes would now not take place until after November 2026, once that review is completed. But given the political furore today, and indeed over the past week, it is hard, honestly, to see the circumstances in which the government might try and revive them.
Outside Westminster tonight, disability campaigners were trying to follow the debate inside. And despite late concessions, their faith in government has been deeply damaged.
It's been so confusing, it's been so overwhelming.
It's got whiplash, honestly, it's just been change after change after change.
This process has been handled appallingly. They were trying to slip it through with lots of the impacts under the radar.
Rob receives personal independence payments because of mental health and mobility issues. Although his support is protected for now, he says assessments are already skewed against those like him.
It was humiliating, degrading. You end up feeling like you don't deserve a life like other people. That you are destined to be poor for the rest of your life. And the system is set up to make you feel like you are a fraud, that you are trying to rip people off.
Ray doesn't yet receive PIP, but as her multiple sclerosis worsens, she's preparing for an assessment.
You see, it's things like this, so can prepare and cook a simple meal unaided.
She's worried new rules could still make it harder to get the help she needs.
It's going to create a two-tiered system where somebody with the same condition at the same sort of progression, say, will be eligible or might be able to claim more or less.
The government says it will coordinate welfare reforms with disability charities, but many are sceptical.
Have you got any faith that this government can go about reforming the welfare system?
They don't start with the fact that this society has an increasing number of disabled people. Why is that, I wonder? Is it because of poverty? Is it because of demographics? Well, why has the government started this debate around benefits, which is a symptom, it's not the underlying issue?
Welfare reforms are being rethought tonight, and campaigners will now wonder whether the government is ready to listen. Harry Horton, News at 10.
So the next obvious question is, where does this leave us? And Joel and Robert are here. Joel, let's begin with you. It leaves Rachel Reeves with a big black hole, does it not?
It does. This is politically embarrassing, but there are financial problems now of the government's own making. Remember, this original plan was rushed out around the time of the spring statement precisely because the Chancellor was in danger of breaking the fiscal rules that she'd only just set herself at the first time of asking. The original plan to save £4.5 billion there by tightening the PIP eligibility, a further £2.7 billion by cutting future spending on incapacity benefit, the health element of universal credit, but to increase, as you can see at the bottom there, the generosity of universal credit for those out of work who do not have health problems. Total savings, £5.5 billion by 29/30. The PIP changes were tweaked, now they've been shelved. The changes to incapacity benefit have been watered down. The uplift to the standard allowance still goes ahead as planned, so the total savings now zero. Well, in fact, actually, it costs the government something slightly. Let's be clear, Tom, there has been a huge increase in the number of people claiming disability and incapacity benefits in the last 5 years. Any government would be concerned about the surge in claims. The way they've gone about tackling this, though, is a complete fiasco. Back in March, the Office of Budget Responsibility gave the Chancellor £10 billion of wiggle room against her fiscal rules. Tonight, £5.5 billion of that has gone. We've seen another U-turn that needs funding, which is the winter fuel payment. That's going to eat up another billion. The economic outlook is bleak. Borrowing is overshooting. Borrowing costs remain high. The news does not look good for the Chancellor. And in the autumn, there's every chance she'll have to raise taxes as things stand. So more political humiliation lies ahead, potentially.
It's not a very rosy picture, is it, Robert? We often talk about, don't we, that government isn't easy, and we know it's not easy. But like this government's only been in a year, it's made a number of really colossal U-turns on signature policies, which everyone else seemed to see coming long before they did. I mean, this is a really bad mess of their own making, is it not?
Yeah, this is self-harm on a colossal scale. Much of it stems from something that Joel's just been talking about, which is this sort of astonishing determination to follow the fiscal rules, not to breach them, to have this institution called the Office of Budget Responsibility as the arbiter of whether the public finances are moving in the right direction, but an arbiter not just as a sort of guide, but as almost a body with religious authority. And so a reform that the Work and Pensions Department had been planning to do, but had been planning to do over a period of many months, was massively accelerated because Rachel Reeves, beginning of the year, said, I want money. Initially, she actually said £10 billion. Actually, the Prime Minister intervened and stopped one particularly painful element of all of that, which was to freeze the personal independence allowance. And we got back down to that still significant, but rather more modest £5 billion saving that Joel was talking about. Labour MPs, however, for them, one MP put it to me like this, that this for them is like hostilities to the European Union was to the Tories when they were in government. Cutting welfare is not something that any Labour MP wants to do. And weeks ago, not particularly left-wing Labour MPs were telling the whips they were going to struggle to vote for this. The whips told Downing Street. Downing Street simply refused to take this seriously. They sent, their, Keir Starmer's own advisors went to see these MPs, broadly shouted at them, told them, essentially to do what they were being, what Downing Street felt they were being paid to do, which was to follow orders. And MPs thought, actually, we understand the parliamentary system. We're representatives. We are not your delegates. We will do what is right for our consciences. And so we had actually, just to be clear, literally as late as Wednesday, the government was saying to anybody who was thinking of rebelling, if you rebel, you will never, ever, ever get a job on the payroll in government. Today, you had the spectacle of Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister, and the Work and Pensions Secretary, Liz Kendall, ringing up MPs, almost desperately saying, what can we do to get you to vote for this? In the end, they caved on everything. They've lost every penny of saving. As you pointed out, it almost certainly means that any reform of welfare is off the table. And they have therefore achieved precisely the opposite of what they set out to achieve back in January, February. Their fiscal credibility is shattered as opposed to being reinforced.
But apart from all that, it's been a terrific
it's all been
success.
fine.
Yeah. OK.